Hello friends, welcome to today's daily devotion. I am Pastor Kerry Wood from the Goldston Methodist Church in Goldston, North Carolina. We are proudly a global Methodist congregation. This week we are looking at Paul's letter to the Romans in chapter 4, and today we're looking at verses 9 through 12, and we're coming back to Abraham, which was mentioned on Monday, and we're continuing to see what God has to say about our relationship to him through the relationship he had with Abraham. Hear now these words, Romans 4, 9 through 12 from the Open English Bible. Is this blessing then pronounced on the circumcised only, or on the uncircumcised as well? We say that Abraham's faith was regarded by God as righteousness. Under what circumstances then did this take place? After his circumcision or before it? Not after, but before. And it was a sign of this that he received the rite of circumcision, to show the righteousness due to the faith of an uncircumcised man, in order that he might be the father of all who have faith in God, even when uncircumcised, so that they may be regarded by God as righteous, as well as father of the circumcised, to those who are not only circumcised, but who also follow our father Abraham in that faith for which he had while still uncircumcised. Now I'm going to tell you the truth. I don't know that I've ever used uncircumcised and circumcised so many times in a sentence until reading this passage. We got to be honest that circumcision is something that is not really talked about much these days. In fact, it's kind of a controversial subject because of what circumcision actually is. It is the removal of the foreskin of a man's genitals. And that is something that guys kind of cringe and hold their hands over their groin area, and women just kind of like, do I have to listen to this? And so why is Paul making such a big deal out of it? Because the Jewish faith had made a big deal out of it. And one of the controversies that Paul is having to wrestle with is this sense of separation between the men who had received circumcision and were proud of it, and the men who had not received circumcision and really wanted nothing to do with it, and yet they all wanted to trust and believe in Jesus. One group insisted that if you want to be a follower of Jesus, you've got to go under the knife and be snipped and become a Jew. And Paul here in Romans 4, he's trying to help those folks see beyond that argument. The circumstances of circumcision are what Paul is getting to. He says, am I right before God because I've had this particular physical thing happening to me? Or am I right before God and therefore some choose to have this physical thing happen to them? Which comes first, the circumcision or the faith? And Paul is saying very solidly, when it came to Abraham, it was faith first, circumcision second. And that really is what we ought to focus on. Faith first, not the signs about faith. If you and I are able to focus on having a faith and believing in God, that God will declare righteousness, God will declare righteousness, God will declare righteousness, God will declare righteousness, that is our faith. We believe God can and will and does do something for us in Jesus Christ. And then everything else flows after that. And I'll see you tomorrow for our next daily devotion.